As a quantity surveyor, we have a duty to provide value for money to our employer. This is done at all stages of the project lifecycle, from tendering works to negotiating final accounts. In this video, we're going to look specifically at the different tender options available, helping you establish the most suitable option for the project you're working on. Before we begin, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It's easy for us to assume there's a one-size-fits-all solution to how construction projects are managed. However, often this isn't the case, especially when it comes to tendering. We have to consider many variables which impact how we tender the works. For example, what is the time frame? Are the works specialised? Are works under a fixed term framework? Has the design been carried out? Or is the design yet to be completed? There's going to be different tender options for each of these variables. So let's dive into the different options available. Firstly, we have open tendering. Under this option, anyone can apply to tender for the works. This is often for an advert or third party. This option provides a large pool of potential suppliers to choose from. This can be either seen as a benefit or disadvantage, as much time is spent vetting return tenders. However, contrary to this, it may give an opportunity to a suitable supplier who'd otherwise miss out on the other tender options. Next, we have selective tendering. This is where a selection of contractors will be invited to tender for certain works. This removes the vetting process normally required after tenders received. There is certainty of the contractor's competency at invitation to tender, and this saves time and resource when evaluating return prices. This option is especially useful when works are specialist, or there are certain expectations from the client that only few contractors can guarantee. Moving on, we have negotiated tendering. Under this option, a single supplier is invited to tender and negotiated on price. This is often used when works being carried out are specialist. It should be noted, although this option reduces the time spent during the tender process, the competitive aspect of the process is removed, therefore risking reduced value for money. Next up is serial tendering. Under this option, a blank schedule of rates is submitted as part of the tender documents. The contractors return their tenders with the rates filled in. Tenders are then assessed based on the rates provided. This is useful for agreements where multiple smaller projects are being carried out. The contractor will price their works for projects based on the rates agreed at tender. Contractors are often inclined to submit lower rates to secure contracts and therefore increase the value for money to the employer. Framework tendering. Under this arrangement, potential suppliers have an agreed overarching contract which lasts a certain amount of time. During this time frame, a client may wish to utilise their services for specific projects which they will procure under a call of contract. The advantage to this is that time is saved during the procurement process for each project. For example, let's say you work for a client who is responsible for maintaining the highways in a region for the next 5 years. During this time, there's likely going to be many projects encompassing the different elements of maintaining the assets. Rather than going through a full tender process for each smaller project, under this agreement, you can call on selected suppliers under the framework agreement to carry out the works. Sometimes, suppliers under the framework may even be required to submit competitive prices to win projects over other framework contractors. And lastly, we have single stage and two-stage tendering. Single stage is used when all the information is readily available for contractors to provide a robust price for carrying out works. This differs from two-stage, where information may be incomplete at tender stage. Contractors would submit an initial price at the first stage, allowing work to begin, and then a fixed price which is negotiated later on. The latter method allows for early contractor involvement, which contains its own cost-saving benefits. Metroun, a commercial hub to your business.